The slap echoed through the marble hallway of Incheon International Airport like a thunderclap, and every single person within a 50-meter radius stopped walking, stopped talking, stopped breathing. Adi's palm was still raised in the air, trembling slightly, and the tall Korean man in front of her was holding his face with an expression of pure, unadulterated shock. Before we go any further, if you're watching this, drop a comment right now telling me where you're watching from and what time it is. I need to know if you're watching this at 3 a.m. when you should be sleeping. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to laugh today, and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss what happens next because trust me, this story is about to get wild. Now, where were we? Ah yes, the slap. The man she had just slapped was wearing a suit that probably cost more than her entire apartment back home. His jaw was sharp enough to cut glass, his eyes were the color of dark chocolate, and his expression said that nobody, in the entire history of his existence, had ever dared to touch him without permission. Did you just, he said slowly, his voice dangerously calm, slap me? Ada lowered her hand and looked at him with absolutely zero remorse. You grabbed my arm. I was trying to get your attention. You got it. Behind her, a woman with box braids and wide, terrified eyes was making frantic gestures that clearly meant, "What are you doing? We are going to die in this country." This was Blessing, Ada's best friend, her ride or die, her partner in chaos, and currently, her biggest liability. Ada, Blessing whispered urgently, that man looks like he owns this airport. He probably owns the parking lot, Ada replied, still maintaining eye contact with the stranger. At most. The man's eye twitched. Do you have any idea, he said, each word dripping with barely contained fury, who I am? Ada tilted her head. Should I? Somewhere behind the man, another Korean man in a slightly less expensive suit closed his eyes like he was praying for strength. This was Secretary Han, though Ada didn't know that yet. She would learn his name later, along with the fact that he had been working for Kang Ji-hoon for 7 years and had never, not once, seen anyone speak to his boss this way. I am Kang Ji-hoon, the man said, as if this should mean something. Ada blinked. Congratulations. CEO of Kang Empire. Is that a restaurant? Secretary Han made a sound like a balloon slowly deflating. Blessing grabbed Ada's arm with the strength of someone who had just seen their entire future flash before their eyes. Ada, baby. Sweetheart. Light of my life. Kang Empire. The biggest conglomerate in Korea. They own everything. Buildings. Hospitals. Television stations. Ada looked at Ji-hoon. Then back at Blessing. Then back at Ji-hoon. So not a restaurant, she said. Ji-hoon's jaw tightened. You slapped me. You grabbed me first. I was trying to tell you that you dropped your passport. For the first time since the slap, Ada's confidence flickered. She looked down. Ji-hoon was holding a passport in his other hand. Her passport. With her face on it. And her full name. Which he had definitely read. Oh, Ada said. Oh, Ji-hoon repeated, his voice now carrying a hint of dark satisfaction. Adiz Adams. That's quite a name. It's a beautiful name, actually. It means the king's daughter. How ironic. You have the manners of a peasant. Blessing gasped. The security guards who had started approaching gasped. Even Secretary Han, who had thought he was beyond surprise, raised an eyebrow. Ada smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the kind of smile that preceded war. At least I have manners, she said sweetly. You walked up behind a stranger in a foreign airport and grabbed her arm. Where I come from, that's how you lose fingers. Where you come from, Ji-hoon said, clearly doesn't teach people about respect. Where you come from clearly doesn't teach people about personal space. Or boundaries. Or basic human decency. Ada snatched her passport from his hand. Thank you for returning this. Consider the slap my receipt. She turned on her heel and walked away, dragging a shell-shocked Blessing behind her. Ji-hoon stood there, still holding his face, watching her disappear into the crowd. Secretary Han approached cautiously, like one might approach a lion that had just been poked with a stick. Sir, he said carefully, should I call security? Ji-hoon lowered his hand. His cheek was red. His pride was redder. No, he said quietly. Sir, find out who she is, where she's staying, why she's in Seoul. Secretary Han blinked. Sir, with all due respect, she just assaulted you. I'm aware. In public. I was there, Secretary Han. People are filming. Ji-hoon looked around. At least 15 phones were pointed in their direction. Somewhere in the crowd, someone whispered, "Did you see that?" And another person responded, "Upload it now." "Handle it," Jihoon said, and walked toward the exit. Secretary Han stared at the retreating back of his boss, then at the crowd of people still recording, then at the ceiling, as if asking whatever deity might be listening for the strength to survive another day. "I don't get paid enough for this," he muttered to himself. "I really, truly, do not get paid enough for this." Meanwhile, outside the airport, Ada was shoving her luggage into the back of a taxi while Blessing had what could only be described as a spiritual experience. "You slapped him," Blessing said for the fourth time. "You slapped him. He grabbed me. He's a billionaire. He's a man with a hand that needed correction. Ada, we've been in this country for 4 to 5 minutes. We haven't even left the airport. And you've already committed assault against one of the richest people in Asia." Ada climbed into the taxi. "Get in the car, Blessing. We're going to prison. We're going to Korean prison. I've seen the documentaries. They make you do labor. Get in the car." Blessing got in the car. Blessing groaned and slumped against the seat. "I should have stayed home. I should have listened to my mother. She said, 'Blessing, don't follow that girl. She will put you in trouble.' Did I listen? No. Because I'm stupid. I'm a stupid, loyal friend who is going to die in Korea because you can't control your hands." Ada patted her friend's shoulder comfortingly. "You won't die. You might go to prison, but you won't die. I hate you." "No, you don't. I hate you so much right now." "You love me." Blessing paused, then sighed. "I do. And it's going to be the death of me." The taxi driver, who had witnessed everything through his rearview mirror, looked at the two women with a mixture of fear and respect. "Where to?" he asked in Korean. Ada gave him the address in perfect Korean, which made him jump slightly. "You speak Korean," he said. "I do." "Well, that was quite an entrance you made." Ada smiled. A real smile this time, not the war smile. "I've been told I have a strong personality." "Strong is one word for it," the driver said, pulling into traffic. "Terrifying is another." "I prefer memorable," Ada said. "You're definitely that." The driver glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "That man you slapped. You really don't know who he is." "Should I care?" "Most people would." "I'm not most people." The driver laughed. "I can see that. You know what? This ride is free." "What? Why?" "Because I've been driving taxis in Seoul for 20 years, and I've never seen anyone slap Kang Jae-hoon. That man's face is on the side of buildings. He's on magazine covers. He's basically royalty." The driver shook his head, still chuckling. "And you slapped him like he was some random guy on the street." "He was some random guy on the street. He just happens to have money. Money and power. Money and power don't make you immune to consequences." The driver looked at her with something like admiration. "You're either very brave or very stupid." "Probably both," Ada admitted. The taxi drove through the city, and Ada watched the Seoul skyline rise up around them, all glittering lights and towering buildings and a future that had suddenly become very, very complicated. She didn't know it yet, but the man she had slapped was currently in his private car, holding an ice pack to his face and making a series of phone calls that would change everything. She didn't know that by the end of the week, their paths would cross again. But that's the thing about fate. It doesn't care about your plans. It just cares about chaos. And chaos. Chaos was Ada's specialty. In the backseat, Blessing was still having her emotional breakdown, now conducted entirely through text messages. "Who are you texting?" Ada asked. "My mother." "Why?" "So she knows what to tell the embassy when they come looking for my body. Nobody is going to kill us." The way that man looked at you. Ada. He looked at you like you were a problem he needed to solve. Let him try. See, that's the attitude that's going to get us killed. Ada rolled her eyes. "Blessing. We're fine. He's not going to do anything. Rich people don't waste their time on people like us. He'll forget about me by tomorrow." "You really believe that?" "I do." Blessing shook her head. "Ada. Sweetie. Love of my life. The man whose face is on billboards looked at you like he'd never been surprised by anything in his entire life, and you just became the exception. He is not going to forget about you. Then he can remember me from a distance. I have a job interview tomorrow. That's what I need to focus on. A job interview at Kang Empire." Ada froze. "What?" "The job you applied for. The translation position. It's at Kang Empire. I told you this. You told me it was a big company. Kang Empire is a big company. You didn't tell me it was his company. I didn't know you were going to slap him." The taxi driver was now openly laughing. This is better than a drama. Can I tell my wife about this? No, both women said simultaneously. Fair enough. He pulled up in front of a building that looked like it had seen better days, better decades, and possibly better centuries. Here's your stop. Good luck tomorrow. You're going to need it. Ada paid him despite his offer of a free ride because she wasn't about to owe anyone anything, and the two women dragged their luggage into the building. The apartment Blessing had found for them was, in the most generous possible terms, cozy. In less generous terms, it was a showbox with ambition. Ada stood in the middle of the living room, which was also the bedroom, which was also somehow supposed to be the kitchen, and tried to process what she was seeing. Blessing, she said slowly. Where is the rest of it? Blessing squeezed past her, dragging a suitcase that took up approximately 1/3 of the available floor space. What do you mean? This apartment. Where is the rest of the apartment? This is the apartment. Ada looked left. She saw a wall. She looked right. She saw another wall. She stretched out her arms and her fingertips nearly touched both walls simultaneously. Blessing. It was cheap. I can touch both walls. That's a feature. Very convenient. Everything is within arm's reach. Where is the bathroom? Blessing pointed to a door approximately 2 feet away. Ada opened it. The bathroom was so small that the shower, toilet, and sink were essentially the same piece of furniture. Blessing. It has running water. The shower is above the toilet. Multitasking. Very efficient. Very Korean. Ada closed the bathroom door. Then opened it again. Then closed it again, as if hoping it would lead somewhere different the second time. It did not. How much did you pay for this? Ada asked. Blessing mumbled something. What? I said 800,000 won a month. Ada did the math in her head. Then did it again because surely she had made a mistake. Then sat down on what she assumed was supposed to be a bed but felt more like a wooden board wrapped in wishful thinking. 800,000 won, she repeated. For this. It's Seoul, Blessing said defensively. Everything is expensive. Be grateful we have a window. Ada looked at the window. It was roughly the size of a magazine and overlooked what appeared to be another window belonging to an elderly man who was eating noodles approximately 3 feet away. The elderly man saw Ada looking at him. He waved. Ada waved back. I'm going to unpack, she announced. Where is the closet? You're looking at it. Ada turned around. Behind her was a single metal rod attached to the wall with 3 hangers on it. That's not a closet. It's a minimalist closet. Very trendy. Marie Kondo would approve. Marie Kondo would have a stroke. Can we please just focus on the positive? Blessing said, throwing herself onto the bedboard. We're in Seoul. We're alive. We have a place to stay. You have a job interview tomorrow. Things are fine. I slapped a billionaire at the airport. Most things are fine. Ada sat down next to her friend. The bed made a concerning creaking sound but held. Do you think he'll do something? Ada asked. Like what? I don't know. Sue me. Deport me. Have me assassinated. Blessing snorted. Girl, please. You're not important enough to assassinate. That requires paperwork. Thank you for that comfort. You're welcome. Blessing pulled out her phone. Now, let's see if we went viral. Blessing no. But it was too late. Blessing was already searching, her eyes widening with each passing second. Oh, she said. Oh, what does O mean? It means you should probably see this. She turned the phone toward Ada. On the screen was a video. The quality was surprisingly good, probably shot on one of those new phones with cameras that could photograph individual atoms. In the video, Ada could clearly see herself slapping Kang Ji-hoon across the face. The video had been posted 4 hours ago. It already had 3 million views. The top comment said, "Who is this queen and where can I send her flowers?" The second top comment said, "She slapped Kang Ji-hoon." Kang Ji-hoon. This woman has balls the size of watermelons. The third top comment said, "He kind of deserved it though." The fourth top comment was just a series of crying laughing emojis repeated approximately 4 to 7 times. I'm famous, Ada said flatly. You're viral. I don't want to be viral. Too late. You're a meme now. Look, someone already made a GIF. Blessing showed her. The GIF was just the slap on repeat, over and over, from 3 different angles. Where did they get 3 angles? Ada demanded. Korea has cameras everywhere. It's like living in a reality TV show. Blessing scrolled down further. Oh, people are making fan edits. This one has dramatic music. She played it. The slap was now accompanied by the soundtrack from some kind of historical drama, complete with slow motion and added sound effects. "My life is over," Ada announced. "Your life is just beginning. Do you know how many followers you're going to get? You should start a TikTok. I'll manage it for you. We can call it Slap Watch or something." "I'm not starting a TikTok about slapping billionaires." "You're right. That's too niche. We'll broaden it. Daily adventures of a woman who takes no disrespect. Very empowering. Very feminist." Ada grabbed a pillow and screamed into it. Blessing patted her back supportively. "Let it out. Let it all out." "I came here," Ada said, her voice muffled by the pillow, "for a fresh start. A peaceful new life. I was going to be a translator. I was going to be anonymous." "Well," Blessing said cheerfully, "at least you got one thing right." "What?" "You're definitely going to be translating. Probably in court, when he sues you." Ada threw the pillow at her. Blessing caught it and laughed. Blessing slumped against the wall, which was dangerously close to the other wall. "How are you so calm? You just slapped a billionaire and tomorrow you have to interview at his company." "I'm not calm. I'm exhausted. There's a difference." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to go to the interview. I'm going to be professional. And I'm going to pretend that the airport never happened." "What if he's there? Why would the CEO of a massive corporation be at an entry-level job interview?" "Because you slapped him. He has better things to do than stalk random job applicants." "You're not random. You're the woman who slapped him. Go to sleep, Blessing." "I can't sleep. I'm having a crisis." "Have your crisis quietly. Some of us need rest." Ada lay down on what could generously be called a bed, closed her eyes, and tried not to think about what tomorrow would bring. She failed. In another part of Seoul, in a penthouse apartment that occupied the entire top floor of a building that Kang Ji-hoon also owned, the billionaire in question was watching the same video. His face was expressionless. Secretary Han stood 3 feet behind him, sweating. "Sir," he said carefully, "the PR team has proposed several strategies for managing the situation." Ji-hoon didn't respond. "They suggest we release a statement emphasizing that you were simply trying to return her passport and that the incident was a misunderstanding." Still no response. "Alternatively, we could lean into the humor of the situation. Make light of it. Show that you're human." Ji-hoon turned around slowly. His eyes were cold enough to cause frostbite. "Human," he repeated. "That's what the PR team said, sir. The PR team thinks I should laugh about being publicly humiliated." "Not laugh, exactly. More like, acknowledge the absurdity with good grace." "Good grace?" "Yes, sir. I was slapped. In the airport. In front of cameras." "Yes, sir. By a woman I had never met." "Yes, sir. Who I was helping." "Technically, sir, you did grab her arm without." "I was returning her passport." "Yes, sir." Ji-hoon turned back to the screen. The video was still playing. The slap, over and over. The way her eyes had blazed. The absolute lack of fear in her expression. Nobody looked at him like that. Nobody had ever looked at him like that. People looked at him with respect. With admiration. With fear, when necessary. But this woman, this Adiz Adams, had looked at him like he was an irritation. An obstacle. Something to be dealt with and dismissed. It was infuriating. It was also, in a way he would never admit out loud, fascinating. "What do we know about her?" he asked. Secretary Han pulled out a tablet. Adiz Adams. 27 years old. Moved to Seoul recently. Highly educated. Speaks multiple languages including fluent Korean. She has a job interview tomorrow. Wei. Kang Empire. Translation Department. The room went silent. Ji-hoon turned around again, this time more slowly. "She has a job interview," he said carefully, "at MY Company." "Yes, sir. The woman who slapped me. At the airport. On camera. Is trying to get a job at MY Company. The interview was scheduled before the airport incident, sir. I believe it's a coincidence." "Coincidence?" "Yes, sir." Ji-hoon was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, a smile spread across his face. It was not a nice smile. It was the kind of smile that made Secretary Han want to update his resume. "Don't cancel the interview," Ji-hoon said. "Sir. Let her come. Let her interview. And when she does." He picked up his phone and began scrolling through the comments on the video. "Make sure I'm there to conduct it personally." Secretary Han swallowed. "Sir, that's highly irregular. You don't conduct interviews for entry-level positions." I do now. The HR department will have questions. Tell them the CEO wants to take a more hands-on approach to hiring. They'll be suspicious. Let them be. Secretary Han sighed internally. 7 years. 7 years of working for this man. And somehow, things kept getting worse. Yes, sir, he said. I'll make the arrangements. Good. Jihoon turned off the video and set down his phone. And Secretary Han. Yes, sir. Find out everything about her. Where she's from. Where she's staying. What she eats for breakfast. I want to know everything. May I ask why, sir? Jihoon walked toward the window, looking out over the Seoul skyline that he owned a significant portion of. Because, he said quietly, no one has ever slapped me before. I need to understand what kind of person would do such a thing. And then I'll decide what to do about her. The next morning, Ada woke up to the sound of Blessing having a complete emotional breakdown. I can't find my straightener. Ada opened one eye. Sunlight was streaming through their magazine-sized window. The elderly neighbor was eating noodles again. It was 6:15 a.m. Why do you need a straightener? Ada mumbled. Because your interview is at 9 a.m. and I need to do your hair. My hair is fine. Blessing appeared above her, looking genuinely horrified. Your hair looks like you fought a cloud and lost. That's just how it looks in the morning. Exactly. And you can't go to an interview looking like you committed assault on a weather system. Get up. Ada groaned and rolled out of bed. The bed made a relieved creaking sound, as if grateful to be free of human weight. What followed was 2 hours of chaos. Blessing attacked Ada's hair with the intensity of someone defusing a bomb. Ada complained the entire time. The straightener was eventually found. It was under the one pillow they owned. The iron refused to work, so Ada's interview outfit was de-wrinkled by Blessing hanging it in the bathroom while she showered. The steam technically worked, but it also made the bathroom so humid that Ada emerged looking like she'd walked through a car wash. You look amazing, Blessing announced. Ada looked in the mirror. Her reflection looked skeptical. I look damp. Dewy. You look dewy. It's very trendy. I look like I'm sweating. Glow. You're glowing. Blessing. Trust the process. She looked at herself in the mirror and practiced her interview face. Hello. My name is Adiz Adams. I'm here for the translation position. No, I've never seen your CEO before. No, I definitely didn't slap him at the airport yesterday. That must have been someone else. A doppelganger. A very violent doppelganger. Blessing appeared behind her. Are you talking to yourself? I'm preparing. For what? Lying under oath. For being professional. Ada, your face is on the internet. The video has 7 million views now. Ada's stomach dropped. 7 million. Someone auto-tuned it. There's a song now. A song. It's actually kind of catchy. Blessing pulled up her phone and played a clip. Ada's slap had been remixed with a beat, and the sound of the impact was now the hook of what could only be described as a viral hit. I'm going to be sick, Ada said. The comments are very supportive. Look, this one says queen behavior. And this one says she did what we all wanted to do. And this one, Blessing paused. Actually, don't read this one. What does it say? Nothing important. Blessing. It says, that woman is going to end up in a ditch somewhere. But it's probably a joke. I'm definitely going to be sick. Ada sat down on the bed, which creaked ominously, and put her head in her hands. Okay, she said after a moment. New plan. What's the new plan? I'm going to the interview anyway. That's the OLD plan. The new part is that I'm going to own it. Own what? The slap. The video. Everything. Ada stood up with renewed determination. I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to walk in there with my head held high and show them that I'm not afraid of anything. Not even billionaires. Especially not billionaires. Blessing looked at her friend with a mixture of admiration and terror. You're insane. Probably. I love you. I know. Please don't die. I'll do my best. Ada grabbed her bag and headed for the door. At the threshold, she paused and looked back. Blessing. Yes. If I'm not back by 6 p.m., call the embassy. That's not funny. Who said I was joking? She left before Blessing could respond. The Kang Empire building was even more intimidating in daylight. Ada stood outside, looking up at 50 stories of glass and steel and thinking about all the choices that had led her to this moment. Moving to Seoul. Taking this interview. Slapping the most powerful man in the country. Good choices. Debatable. Interesting choices. Definitely. She walked through the revolving doors and into a lobby that looked like it belonged in a museum. Everything was white marble and gold accents and the kind of aggressive cleanliness that suggested an army of people worked around the clock to maintain it. The receptionist behind the massive desk was the same computer-generated-looking woman from Ada's nightmares. Perfect hair. Perfect makeup. Perfect smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Welcome to Kang Empire," the woman said. "How may I help you?" "I'm here for an interview. Translation department. My name is Adiz Adams." Ada blinked. "You know my name." "Everyone knows your name, Miss Adams." The receptionist's smile flickered. "You're very famous." "I was just trying to return a slap. I was just. The elevator to your left will take you to the 47th floor. Mr. Kang is expecting you." Ada's brain stopped working. "Mr. Kang. The CEO. He'll be conducting your interview personally." "The CEO is conducting my interview." "That's correct. An entry-level translation interview." "Yes. The CEO. Personally." "Is there an echo in here, Miss Adams?" Ada stared at the receptionist for a long moment. The receptionist stared back with that perfect, unsettling smile. "The elevator is to your left," the receptionist repeated. "Right. Yes. Left. Elevator. 47th floor. CEO. Got it. This elevator will take you directly to 47, the receptionist said. "Good luck." The way she said good luck sounded less like encouragement and more like a condolence. Ada walked toward the elevator in a daze. Behind her, she could hear the receptionist pick up a phone and say, "She's on her way up." "Yes, she looks terrified. Should I have security on standby?" The elevator ride took approximately 3 years. Or maybe it was 3 minutes. Ada couldn't tell. Time had stopped making sense somewhere around the moment she realized she was about to face the man she'd slapped, in his office, completely alone. Ada's phone buzzed. It was a text from Blessing. "Blessing, how's IT going?" "ADA, I'm in an elevator going to the 47th floor." "Blessing, isn't that the executive floor?" "ADA, how do you know that?" "Blessing, I Googled the building." "Why are you on the executive floor?" "ADA, I don't know." "Blessing, Ada. Ada, I don't know." "Blessing, is he there? Is the man you slapped there?" "ADA, I don't know. Blessing, I'm in an elevator." "Blessing, I'm starting a prayer chain." The elevator dinged. The elevator doors opened. The 47th floor was somehow even more luxurious than the lobby. Thick carpet. Expensive art. The kind of silence that suggested the walls were soundproofed, possibly to contain screams. Secretary Han was waiting for her. "Miss Adams," he said, his face carefully neutral. "Thank you for coming." "Did I have a choice?" "Technically, yes. But realistically?" "Realistically, Mr. Kang is very persistent." "Is that a polite way of saying stubborn?" "It's a professional way of saying stubborn, yes." Ada almost liked him. Almost. "Is this going to be an actual interview?" she asked. "Or am I walking into some kind of trap?" Secretary Han considered this. "I genuinely don't know. Mr. Kang's instructions were simply to bring you to his office. He didn't elaborate on what would happen after." "That's not reassuring." "I know. I apologize. If it helps, I don't think he's planning anything violent." "You don't think?" "Mr. Kang is difficult to predict." "You've worked for him for how long?" 7 years. "And you still can't predict him?" "The day I can predict Kang Ji-hoon is the day I retire a happy man." Secretary Han led her to a massive wooden door at the end of the hallway. He knocked once, then opened it. "Miss Adams is here, sir." "Send her in." Ada took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and walked into the lion's den. The office was enormous. That was Ada's first thought. Her second thought was that the man sitting behind the desk looked even more intimidating than he had at the airport, which she hadn't thought was possible. Kang Ji-hoon was wearing a suit so perfectly tailored it looked painted on. His hair was styled with the kind of precision that suggested a team of people had worked on it. His face was expressionless, a mask of professional neutrality, except for his eyes. His eyes were watching her like she was the most interesting thing he'd seen in years. "Miss Adams," he said, gesturing to a chair in front of his desk. "Please. Sit." Ada Saturday. The chair was absurdly comfortable. This annoyed her. "Thank you for coming," Ji-hoon continued, picking up a folder from his desk. "I've reviewed your application materials. Very impressive." "Thank you. 5 languages. Top of your class. Excellent references. I'm aware of my qualifications." Confident. Is that a problem? Not at all. I prefer dealing with people who know their worth. He set down the folder. Though I must admit, your interview approach yesterday was unconventional. I didn't know that was an interview. I mean the slap. That wasn't part of any interview strategy. No. He leaned back in his chair. Then what was it? Self-defense. I was returning your passport. You grabbed my arm without warning. I said, excuse me. That's not enough warning for physical contact. In my experience, excuse me is universally understood. In my experience, men who grab women without proper introduction deserve consequences. They stared at each other across the desk. The silence stretched. Neither blinked. Finally, incredibly, Jihoon laughed. It was a short laugh, surprised out of him, but it completely transformed his face. For a moment, he looked almost human. You're really not afraid of me, are you? He asked. Should I be? Most people are. Most people haven't slapped you. That's true. He picked up the folder again, flipping through pages. Your Korean is excellent. Native-level pronunciation. Very rare for someone who didn't grow up here. I have a good ear for languages. Where did you learn? I studied it in university, then continued independently. Why Korean specifically? I was interested in the culture, the business opportunities, the food. The food. Have you ever had properly made kimchi jjigae? It's transformative. Another almost smile. I'll have to trust your assessment. You should. I'm rarely wrong about food. Jihoon set down the folder and folded his hands on the desk. Let me be direct with you, Miss Adams. I don't normally conduct entry-level interviews. In fact, I never conduct entry-level interviews. The last time I interviewed someone personally, they were being considered for a vice president position. So why am I here? Because you interest me. Ada waited for more explanation. None came. I interest you, she repeated. Yes. Because I slapped you. Partly. What's the other part? The other part is that you didn't apologize. You didn't grovel. You didn't beg for forgiveness or try to explain it away. He leaned forward slightly. Do you know how many people have stood up to me in the last decade? I don't. 0. Not one. People tell me what I want to hear. They agree with me even when I'm wrong. They smile and nod and never, ever challenge me. That sounds boring. It's exhausting. His eyes met hers directly. And then you appeared. This woman I'd never met, who didn't know who I was, who looked at me like I was just another irritating stranger and reacted accordingly. Most people would call that a character flaw. Most people are idiots. Ada didn't know how to respond to that, so she didn't. Jihoon stood up and walked to the window, looking out over the city he apparently owned a significant portion of. I'm going to offer you a job, he said. I came here for a job. Not the one you applied for. Something different. Different how? I need a personal translator. Someone who can accompany me to international meetings, handle delicate communications, navigate cultural differences. He turned to face her. Someone who isn't afraid to tell me when I'm wrong. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. It sounds like exactly what I need. Why me? There must be hundreds of qualified translators who would kill for this position. Hundreds of qualified translators who would agree with everything I said and never challenge me on anything. He walked back toward the desk. I don't need another yes person. I have a building full of those. I need someone who will tell me the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. You want me to be rude to you? Professionally. I want you to be honest with me. If rudeness is required, so be it. Ada considered this. The offer was insane. The entire situation was insane. But there was something in his eyes, something almost desperate beneath all the control, that made her hesitate. What's the catch? She asked. Catch? There's always a catch. What aren't you telling me? Jihoon was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Softer. More honest. My family is complicated. My father wants me to marry someone suitable. My grandmother has her own agenda. My ex-fiancé is still circling, waiting for an opportunity. He met her eyes. Working closely with me will put you in the middle of all of that. It won't be easy. Nothing worth doing is easy. Is that a yes? Ada should have said no. Every rational part of her brain was screaming that this was a trap, that she was being manipulated, that nothing good could come from getting involved with someone like Kang Jihoon. But Ada had never been particularly good at listening to the rational parts of her brain. When do I start? She asked. Something flickered in his eyes. Relief. Satisfaction. Something she couldn't quite name. Monday, he said. 8 a.m. Don't be late. I'm never late. We'll see. She stood up. He extended his hand. She shook it, and the contact sent something electric through her that she refused to acknowledge. Welcome to Kang Empire, Miss Adams. Thank you, Mr. Kang. Please, call me Jihoon. I'd rather not. And yet you will. Eventually. Ada raised an eyebrow. You're very confident. You'll find that's one of my defining traits. Along with arrogance. I prefer self-assurance. Of course you do. She walked toward the door, then paused and looked back. For what it's worth, she said, I don't regret slapping you. But I am slightly sorry about the circumstances. Slightly. Don't push it. Another almost smile. I wouldn't dream of it. She left, and if her heart was beating faster than normal, that was just the adrenaline. Nothing more. Definitely nothing more. Pause the video right now and comment. What do you think is going to happen now that Ada is working directly with Jihoon? Is this the start of something beautiful or the beginning of complete disaster? Drop your predictions below, hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed because this story is just getting started. 2 weeks later, Ada understood that she had made a terrible mistake. Not because the job was bad. The job was actually excellent. The work was interesting, the pay was good, and her colleagues were mostly pleasant, if slightly terrified of her reputation. No, the problem was Kang Jihoon. He was everywhere. Every time she turned around, he was there. Observing a meeting she was translating. Walking past her desk. Appearing in the elevator at the exact moment she was using it. This is harassment, she told Blessing over dinner one night. It's probably not technically harassment, Blessing said, scrolling through her phone. He's your boss. He's allowed to be in the building. He's not allowed to be in every room I'm in. Have you told him that? Yes. What did he say? He said it's his building and he can be wherever he wants. I mean, that's technically true. Blessing. What? It is his building. Ada stabbed her rice with unnecessary violence. He's doing it on purpose. He's trying to unnerve me. Is it working? No. Liar. It's not working. Then why are you stabbing your food like it owes you money? Ada set down her chopsticks. I don't understand him. I don't understand what he wants. Maybe he likes you. He doesn't like me. He barely tolerates me. Ada. He hired you after you slapped him. Either he's planning revenge, or he's attracted to you, and honestly, at this point, I think it might be both. 3 weeks into her new position, Ada discovered that working for Kang Jihoon was exactly as chaotic as she'd expected. The man had no concept of normal working hours. He sent emails at 3 a.m. He scheduled meetings at 6 a.m. He expected everyone around him to operate at his level of intensity, which was approximately the intensity of a caffeine-fueled hurricane. Ada adapted. She was good at adapting. But that didn't mean she enjoyed it. You need to sleep, she told him during a meeting that had somehow extended into its 4th hour. Jihoon looked up from his laptop. I sleep. When? When necessary. Sleep is always necessary. It's not optional. It's a biological requirement. I'll sleep when this merger is complete. The merger is 6 months away. Then I'll sleep in 6 months. You'll be dead in 6 months if you don't take care of yourself. Secretary Han, who was also in the meeting, made a small noise that might have been agreement or might have been a cry for help. Jihoon closed his laptop and gave Ada his full attention. Are you concerned about my health, Miss Adams? I'm concerned about my job. If you collapse from exhaustion, who's going to sign my paychecks? Secretary Han can handle that. Secretary Han looks like he's about to collapse himself. They both looked at Secretary Han, who did indeed look like a man who had seen too much and slept too little. I'm fine, Secretary Han said, though his voice suggested otherwise. See? Jihoon gestured toward his assistant. He's fine. He's lying. He's being professional. He's being unhealthy. Jihoon sighed. What would you have me do, Miss Adams? The company doesn't run itself. It runs on people, and people need rest. Send everyone home, including yourself. The meeting isn't finished. The meeting has been going in circles for the past hour. Nothing productive is happening. Everyone is tired and cranky and making bad decisions because their brains are running on fumes. I'm not cranky. You've snapped at 3 different people in the last 20 minutes. They deserved it. They made minor errors because they are exhausted. Jihoon stared at her. Ada stared back. It was Secretary Han who broke first. "Sir," he said carefully, "Miss Adams may have a point. The team's productivity has decreased significantly over the past week. A brief rest period might improve overall performance." "Brief," Jihoon repeated. "One evening," Ada said. "Just one evening off. Let everyone go home at a reasonable hour. Let them eat dinner with their families. Let them sleep. Then tomorrow, we reconvene with fresh minds and fresh perspectives." Jihoon was quiet for a long moment. Ada could practically see him calculating the cost-benefit analysis in his head. "Fine," he said finally. "One evening. Really? Don't make me regret it." Ada smiled. It was a triumphant smile, the kind that said she knew she'd won. "Thank you for being reasonable, Mr. Kang." "I'm always reasonable." "That's debatable." "Everything is debatable with you." "That's because I'm usually right." Secretary Han made another small noise. This one was definitely a laugh disguised as a cough. Jihoon's eyes narrowed. "Secretary Han, is something amusing?" "No, sir. Just allergies. In the middle of winter. Indoor allergies, sir. Very common." Ada bit the inside of her cheek to keep from laughing. The meeting ended. Everyone went home. And for the first time in weeks, the 47th floor was quiet before midnight. Ada gathered her things to leave, but Jihoon's voice stopped her at the door. "Miss Adams." She turned. "Yes." He was still sitting at the conference table, laptop closed, looking at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For saying what no one else would." Ada shrugged. "That's what you hired me for." "I hired you to translate." "You hired me to be honest. Translation is just the official title." Another almost smile. "Get some rest. I expect you back at full capacity tomorrow. The same applies to you, Mr. Kang. Sleep. Eat something that isn't from a vending machine. Maybe even relax, if you remember how." "I know how to relax." "Do you?" "I have hobbies." "Name one." He opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. "Working," he said finally. "That's not a hobby. It's productive. It's sad." "Thank you for your assessment." "You're welcome. Good night, Mr. Kang." "Good night, Miss Adams." She left, and she was halfway to the elevator before she realized she was smiling. That was concerning. She stopped smiling immediately. The next few weeks established a pattern. Ada would arrive at work. Jihoon would be unreasonable about something. Ada would call him out on it. They would argue. Eventually, he would concede, or she would concede, or they would reach some kind of compromise. Then the cycle would repeat. It was exhausting. It was also, Ada had to admit, the most alive she'd felt in years. "You're enjoying this," Blessing said one evening, when Ada was recounting the day's events. "I'm not enjoying it." "You're smiling while talking about arguing with your boss." "That's just my face." "Your face doesn't usually do that. Your face usually looks like it's plotting someone's downfall." "Maybe I'm plotting his downfall." "You're not. You're falling for him." Ada choked on her tea. "I am not." "Ada, sweetie, you spent 20 minutes describing the way he looked when he was frustrated. You used the word adorable." "I said he looked adorable when he was confused." "That's different." "How is that different?" It's observational. I was making an observation. An observation about how adorable your billionaire boss looks when you confuse him. He's not my billionaire. But you want him to be." "I don't want anything. I'm just doing my job." Blessing gave her a look. It was the kind of look that said she saw through every lie Ada had ever told herself. "When was the last time you talked about a job this much?" Blessing asked. "I don't." "When was the last time you came home and couldn't stop talking about what happened at work?" "That's just." "When was the last time you smiled this much about anything?" Ada didn't have an answer for that. Blessing nodded, satisfied. "That's what I thought. You're falling for him, Ada. And honestly, I think he's falling for you too." "That's ridiculous. He's a billionaire CEO. I'm just, meh." "Just you." "Girl, you slapped him at the airport and he hired you anyway. You argue with him constantly and he keeps asking for your opinion. He rearranged his entire schedule so you could attend that conference last week. That man is gone for you." He rearranged his schedule for business reasons. The conference was about translation techniques. It had nothing to do with his business. His being supportive of employee development. "He sent you a car." "It was a company car." "It's a company car that nobody else has. Secretary Han has worked there for 7 years and he doesn't have a company car." Ada buried her face in her hands. This is bad. This is good. How is this good? He's my boss. His family is terrifying. His ex-fiancée is basically a supervillain. This is the opposite of good. Love doesn't care about complications. Who said anything about love? You did. Just now. With your face. Ada groaned. Blessing patted her shoulder sympathetically. It'll be okay, Blessing said. Either he'll confess his feelings and you'll live happily ever after, or this will end in disaster and I'll be here to pick up the pieces. That's not comforting. I'm not good at comforting. I'm good at telling the truth. The truth is terrible. The truth is the truth. Now finish your tea and go to bed. You have another day of being in love with your boss to prepare for. I'm not in love with him. Keep telling yourself that, sweetie. Keep telling yourself that. The gala invitation arrived on a Tuesday. Ada was at her desk when Secretary Han appeared with an envelope that looked expensive enough to be framed. Miss Adams, this is for you. She took the envelope and opened it. Inside was an invitation, printed on paper so thick it felt like cardboard, to the annual Kang Empire Charity Gala. This is a very fancy piece of paper, she said. It's an invitation to the most exclusive event of the year. Only 200 people receive these. And I'm one of them. Mr. Kang insisted. Ada read the invitation again. Formal attire required. Kang family estate. Saturday evening. The Kang family estate, she repeated. Yes. Where the family lives. Yes. He's inviting me to his house. Technically, it's not a house. It's more of a compound. Several buildings. Extensive grounds. A private lake. A private lake. The Kang family is very comfortable. They are obscenely wealthy is what they are. Secretary Han didn't argue with this assessment. There's more, he said, handing her another envelope. This arrived this morning. Ada opened the second envelope. Inside was a card that simply read, a stylist will contact you to arrange appropriate attire. JK. He's buying me a dress. Providing, I believe, is the official term. He's providing me a dress. The gala is formal. Mr. Kang wants to ensure you're comfortable. Does he think I can't dress myself? I believe he thinks he'd like to see you in something specific. Ada stayed at the card. Then at Secretary Han. Then at the card again. This is weird, right? She asked. This is objectively weird behavior. I've stopped defining weird since working for Mr. Kang. It seems to change on a daily basis. What should I do? Attend the gala. Wear the dress. See what happens. That's not helpful. I'm an assistant, Miss Adams. I'm not a life coach. You're very judgy for someone who's not a life coach. 7 years with Mr. Kang will do that to a person. The stylist arrived the next day. Her name was Park Sejin, and she arrived at Ada's tiny apartment with 3 rolling racks of dresses and an expression of barely concealed horror. You live here, she said, looking around at the magazine-sized window and the closet that consisted of 3 hangers. Temporarily, Ada said defensively. I should hope so. Sejin said. Can we focus on the dress? Yes. Yes, we can. Sejin began pulling garments from rolling racks that had somehow materialized in the cramped space. Mr. Kang was very specific about what he wanted. What did he want? Something that would make people notice you. I don't like being noticed. Then you shouldn't have slapped a billionaire on camera. Now hold still. What followed was 3 hours of Ada being treated like a mannequin while Sejin draped various fabrics over her, made disapproving sounds, and occasionally muttered in Korean about proportions and color theory. Finally, she held up a dress. It was peach. It was beautiful. It was also the most expensive-looking thing Ada had ever seen. This one, Sejin announced. Are you sure? I'm always sure. Try it on. Ada tried it on. She looked in the mirror. The dress fit like it had been made for her, which it probably had been. The color brought out something in her skin, made her look like she was glowing. The cut was elegant but bold, sophisticated but dramatic. She looked like someone who belonged at fancy galas. Someone who dated billionaires. Someone who had her life completely together. Perfect, Sejin said with satisfaction. I look devastating. Yes, that was the goal. This is too much. There's no such thing as too much. There's only enough and not enough. This is enough. Sejin began packing up her supplies. The dress will be delivered Saturday morning. Shoes and accessories are included. Don't do anything strange to your hair. What counts as strange? I don't know. You seem like the type to try something creative. I'm not sure if that's a compliment. It wasn't. Sejin paused at the door. Mr. Kang chose the color himself. Pink, he said. The exact color doesn't matter. Just pink. Why pink? I don't know. I'm a stylist, not a mind reader. She smiled slightly. But I've dressed a lot of women for a lot of men, and I've never seen anyone care this much about a dress before. She left. Ada stood in front of the mirror, looking at herself in the peach dress, thinking about a man who had specifically chosen the color of what she would wear to his family's home. This was bad. This was very, very bad. But she couldn't stop smiling. The night of the gala arrived. Ada stood outside the Kang family estate, looking at a building that seemed to belong in a fairy tale, and seriously reconsidered every decision she'd ever made. You can do this, she told herself. You faced worse. You faced public humiliation. You faced poverty. You faced that one landlord who tried to evict you for playing music too loud. None of those things were as terrifying as this. The doors opened. Ada walked inside. The interior was exactly as overwhelming as she'd expected. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, flower arrangements that probably cost more than her apartment. People in expensive clothes having expensive conversations. And there, across the room, watching her with an intensity that made her stomach flip, Kang Ji-hoon. He was wearing a black suit. Of course he was. It fit him perfectly, because everything about him was perfect, and Ada hated him for it. He said something to the person he'd been talking to, then made his way toward her. The crowd parted for him automatically. Miss Adams, he said when he reached her. You came. You didn't give me much choice. I gave you every choice. You could have said no. And worn what? The invitation specified formal attire. I would have found you beautiful in anything. The words hung in the air between them. Ada felt her cheeks warm. That was surprisingly smooth, she said. I have my moments. Very few of them. Noted. He offered his arm. Walk with me. She took it. They walked through the ballroom together, and Ada could feel every eye in the room following them. She could hear the whispers, see the phones discreetly raised. They're talking about us, she said. Let them. Easy for you to say. It's easy for you too. Just ignore them. I'm not very good at ignoring things. I've noticed. He smiled, and it was different from his usual almost smile. Warmer. More genuine. You look beautiful, by the way. I should have said that first. You said you'd find me beautiful in anything. And I meant it. But this dress. Sejin did well. You chose the color. I did. Why pink? He was quiet for a moment, steering them toward a less crowded corner of the room. Because, he said finally, when I first saw you at the airport, you were wearing a pink scarf. It's the first thing I noticed about you. Before the slap. Before anything else. Just pink. Ada didn't know what to say. That's either very romantic or very stalkerish, she managed. I prefer to think of it as attentive. You would. Is it working? Is what working? The romance. The attention. All of this. He gestured vaguely at the room around them. I'm not good at this. I'm good at business. I'm good at strategy. I'm good at getting what I want through persistence and determination. But this. He looked at her directly. I don't know how to do this. What is this? Telling someone I like them without making it sound like a business proposal. Ada's heart stopped. Then restarted. Then stopped again. You, like me. I thought that was obvious. Nothing about you is obvious. I hired you after you slapped me. I thought that was revenge. I gave you a car. I thought that was employee appreciation. I picked out the color of your dress for tonight. I thought that was, actually, I didn't know what to think about that. Ji-hoon laughed. A real laugh this time, full and surprised. You are, he said, the most oblivious person I have ever met. I am not oblivious. You're just bad at communicating. I literally sent you flowers last week. Those were from the company. I signed the card JK. I thought that meant Kang. Like the company name. My initials are JK. Ji-hoon Kang. How was I supposed to know that? By reading them. They were both speaking too loudly now. People were definitely staring. Neither of them cared. So, Ada said, slightly breathless, just to be clear. You like me? Yes. Romantically. Yes. Despite the slap. Because of the slap. That's weird. You're weird. You're weird. I know. That's why we work. Ada opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Then opened it again. This is a terrible idea, she said. Probably. Your family will hate me. They already hate me. One more person won't make a difference. Your ex-fiancé will definitely try to kill me. I'll protect you. I don't need protection. I know, but I'd like to offer it anyway. They stared at each other. The music swelled. The room seemed to fade away. Dance with me, Jihoon said. I don't know how to waltz. Then I'll teach you. In front of everyone. In front of the entire world, if you'll let me. Ada should have said no. Every rational part of her brain was screaming that this was dangerous, that she was in over her head, that nothing good could come from falling for someone like Kang Jihoon. But she took his hand anyway. They danced. It was awkward at first. She stepped on his feet. He winced. She apologized. He told her to stop apologizing. But slowly, they found a rhythm. His hand was warm on her waist. Her hand fit perfectly in his. You're getting better, he said. You're getting more patient. Only for you. That's a line. It's the truth. Those can be the same thing. Not always. He spun her, and she managed not to fall. With you, I find myself telling the truth more often than usual. Should I be flattered? You should be terrified. My truths are usually unpleasant. I've noticed. The music swelled to a crescendo. They stopped moving, but they didn't step apart. What happens now? Ada asked. Now, Jihoon said quietly, we see what happens. That's not a plan. It's the only plan I have. You're a CEO. You should have better plans. I have excellent plans. For business. For strategy. For everything except, he stopped. Except what? Except you. Before Ada could respond, a new voice cut through the moment. Well, isn't this touching? They turned. A woman was approaching. Beautiful in a sharp, dangerous way. Perfect makeup. Perfect hair. A smile that didn't reach her eyes. Myra, Jihoon said, his voice going cold. Hello, darling. The woman's eyes swept over Ada, assessing, dismissing. And this must be her. The famous slapping woman. I've been dying to meet you. Ada felt Jihoon's grip on her hand tighten. Myra, he said again, a warning in his tone. What? I can't say hello to your new, pet project. Myra circled them slowly, like a shark. She's pretty, I suppose. In an obvious way. Leave her alone. Or what? Myra's smile widened. You'll fire me? You can't. I don't work for you. You'll cut me out of society? You won't. My family is too connected. You'll defend her honor. She laughed. Jihoon, darling. Since when do you care about honor? Since now. The words hung in the air. Myra's smile faltered. Be careful, she said quietly, all pretense of friendliness gone. You might think you found something special, but people like her don't last. Not in our world. Eventually, she'll realize she doesn't belong, and she'll leave. Or she'll be pushed out. She looked at Ada directly. One way or another. She walked away. Ada watched her go, something cold settling in her stomach. That was pleasant, she said. She's harmless. She didn't seem harmless. She's bitter. We were engaged once. It ended badly. I gathered. What happened? Jihoon was quiet for a moment. I'll tell you someday. Not tonight. Mysterious. Complicated. He squeezed her hand. Don't let her get to you. I won't. Promise. I promise. But even as she said it, Ada knew that something had shifted. The bubble of the moment had burst. Reality was creeping back in. She was in the middle of something bigger than herself. Bigger than a job. Bigger than a dance at a fancy party. And she had no idea how to navigate any of it. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of conversations, introductions, and carefully managed appearances. Ada smiled. She made small talk. She pretended she wasn't completely overwhelmed. But underneath it all, one thought kept repeating. What have I gotten myself into? Now, I need you to pause and comment. What do you think Myra is planning? Who else is going to try to come between Ada and Jihoon? Drop your theories below, hit that like button, and subscribe if you haven't already. 2 weeks after the gala, Ada's life had settled into something almost resembling normal. Almost. She still worked for Jihoon. They still argued constantly. But now there was an undercurrent to everything, an awareness that hadn't been there before. They hadn't talked about what had happened at the gala. Not really. They'd danced around it, acknowledged it without naming it, continued on as if nothing had changed. But everything had changed. You're distracted, Blessing said one evening. I'm not. You've been staring at your phone for 20 minutes. I'm waiting for a text. From who? No one. From him. Ada didn't answer, which was answer enough. You're so gone for this man, Blessing said with a mixture of exasperation and fondness. I'm not gone. I'm interested. You're in love. I am not. Ada's phone buzzed. She grabbed it so fast she almost dropped it. See? Blessing said. Gone. The text was from Jihoon. Are you free tomorrow evening? Ada typed back, why? Jihoon, dinner. With my grandmother. She wants to meet you properly. Ada, she met me at the gala. Jihoon, that was briefly. This would be formally. Ada, that sounds terrifying. Jihoon, it probably will be. But I'd like you to come. Ada stared at the screen. Dinner with his grandmother. Formal meeting. This was significant. What does it say? Blessing demanded. He wants me to have dinner with his grandmother. Blessing's eyes went wide. Meet the family dinner. I think so. Ada, that's serious. I know. That's relationship serious. I know. What are you going to do? Ada looked at the phone. At his name. At the cursor blinking, waiting for her response. She typed, I'll be there. The response came immediately. I'll send a car at 6. Ada set down the phone. Well, she said. I'm meeting his grandmother. You're meeting his grandmother. The matriarch. The woman who basically runs the family from the shadows. You're not helping. I'm not trying to help. I'm trying to panic. That's my job. We can both panic. There's enough panic for everyone. The dinner was the following evening. Ada spent the entire day at work pretending to be normal while internally having a complete meltdown. Jihoon must have noticed, because he stopped by her desk around lunch. You look tense, he said. I'm fine. You've been organizing the same stack of papers for an hour. Ada looked down. She had, in fact, been sorting and resorting the same documents repeatedly without actually doing anything useful with them. I'm being thorough, she said. You're nervous. I'm not, she sighed. Okay. I'm nervous. Meeting your grandmother formally is a lot. She already likes you. She doesn't know me. She knows enough. She knows you stood up to me. She knows you didn't back down. That's more than most people can say. What if I say something wrong? You won't. What if I accidentally insult the family honor? We don't have honor. We have money. It's not the same thing. What if? Ada. He leaned down slightly, bringing his face closer to hers. It's going to be fine. I'll be there. I won't let anything bad happen to you. You can't promise that. I can, actually. Watch me. He smiled, and despite everything, Ada felt some of her anxiety ease. Fine, she said. But if this goes badly, I'm blaming you. I would expect nothing less. The car arrived at 6 p.m. exactly. Ada had changed into a dress that was nice but not too fancy, elegant but not trying too hard. She'd agonized over it for an hour before Blessing finally threw a garment at her and said, Wear this OR I'm choosing for you. The drive to the Kang estate took 30 minutes. Ada spent the entire time rehearsing what she might say, anticipating what questions she might be asked, and periodically reminding herself to breathe. The estate was just as overwhelming as it had been during the gala. Maybe more so, because now she was seeing it in daylight, seeing the full scope of the grounds, the multiple buildings, the private lake. This is ridiculous, she muttered as the car pulled up to the main entrance. The driver, who had been silent the entire ride, said, It is rather excessive. Ada looked at him in surprise. You can speak. When appropriate. Is it appropriate now? You looked like you needed reassurance. He smiled slightly. Don't worry. The grandmother is intimidating, but she's fair. She'll respect you if you respect yourself. That's actually helpful. I've worked for this family a long time. I've seen many people come and go. You're different. Different how? You're the first person Mr. Kang has ever looked at like that. Before Ada could ask what like that meant, the car stopped and the door was opened by a waiting attendant. She stepped out. Jihoon was waiting for her at the top of the stairs. You came, he said. Did you think I wouldn't? I thought you might run. I don't run. I know. It's one of the things I like about you. He offered his arm. She took it. Together, they walked inside. The dinner was held in a private dining room that was smaller than the ballroom but still bigger than Ada's entire apartment. A long table dominated the space, set with more silverware than she knew what to do with. At the head of the table sat Grandma Kang. She looked exactly as formidable as Ada remembered. Tiny but commanding. Eyes that seemed to see everything. an expression that gave nothing away. "Miss Adams," she said as Ada entered. "How lovely to see you again." "The pleasure is mine." Grandma Kang smiled slightly. "I haven't been called Min years. Everyone is too afraid to call me anything but Madam or Elder. Should I call you that instead?" "Absolutely not. Ms. Refreshing." She gestured to a chair. "Please, sit. Let's eat, and then we'll talk." The dinner was elaborate. Multiple courses, each more impressive than the last. Ada didn't recognize half of what she was eating, but all of it was delicious. Throughout the meal, Grandma Kang asked questions. Casual questions, seemingly innocuous, but Ada could feel the assessment behind each one. Where did she grow up? What was her family like? Why did she move to Seoul? What did she want from her career? Ada answered honestly. She'd learned early that lying was exhausting and ultimately pointless. Better to tell the truth and deal with the consequences. Finally, the last course was cleared, and Grandma Kang set down her napkin. "Jihoon," she said, "leave us." Jihoon looked surprised. "Grandmother, I want to speak with Miss Adams alone. You can wait in the study." There was no arguing with that tone. Jihoon shot Ada a look that might have been apologetic, then stood and left. The room felt much emptier without him. Grandma Kang studied Ada for a long moment. "You're nervous," she observed. "Yes." "Good. Nervousness shows you care." She leaned forward slightly. "I'm going to be direct with you, Miss Adams. I don't have time for pleasantries at my age. I appreciate directness. My grandson has never brought anyone to meet me. Not formally. Not like this. Do you understand what that means?" "I think so. It means you matter to him, in a way that very few people ever have." Grandma Kang's eyes were sharp. "That's either very good or very dangerous. Which one do you think it is?" "That depends entirely on you." She was quiet for a moment. "My grandson is difficult. He's been that way since he was a child. Too smart for his own good. Too focused on achievement. Too closed off from everything soft and human." She looked at Ada directly. "Since he met you, he's been different. More present. More alive. I just argue with him a lot." "Exactly. You challenge him. You push back. You treat him like a person instead of a title." Grandma Kang smiled. "That's exactly what he needs." Ada didn't know what to say. However, Grandma Kang continued, and her voice hardened slightly. "I must warn you. My family is complicated. My son, Jihoon's father, is not a kind man. He has plans for Jihoon. Plans that don't include someone like you. Someone like me. Someone who isn't from our world. Someone who can't be controlled." Grandma Kang's expression was unreadable. "He will try to push you out. He may try to buy you off. He may try other methods. I don't scare easily. I know. That's why I'm warning you." She reached across the table and took Ada's hand. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "If you're going to be part of my grandson's life, you need to understand what you're walking into. This family is full of secrets. Full of schemes. Full of people who smile while they sharpen knives." "That sounds exhausting." Grandma Kang laughed. "It is. It absolutely is. But it's also home. And if you want to survive here, you need to be smart, you need to be careful, and you need to never, ever let them see you sweat." "Is that advice?" "It's a survival guide." She released Ada's hand and leaned back. "Now, do you have any questions for me?" Ada considered. "Just one." "Ask. Do you approve of me and Jihoon?" Grandma Kang was quiet for a long moment. "I approve," she said finally, "of anyone who makes my grandson happy. The rest is details. Even if I cause problems. Especially if you cause problems." She smiled, and for the first time, it reached her eyes. "This family needs more problems. We've been too comfortable for too long." Ada laughed despite herself. "I think I like you," she said. "Of course you do. I'm delightful." Grandma Kang stood. "Now go find my grandson before he wears a hole in the study carpet with his pacing. He's been worrying about this dinner for days." He has. It's rather sweet, actually. I haven't seen him this nervous since he was 12 and had to present his first business proposal to his father. He did business proposals at 12. He was an unusual child." Grandma Kang walked toward the door. "Welcome to the family, Miss Adams. Or should I say, welcome to the chaos." She left. Ada sat alone in the dining room, processing everything that had just happened. Then she stood up and went to find Jihoon. He was indeed pacing in the study. He stopped the moment she entered. "Well, he asked. What did she say? She gave me a survival guide for your family. That sounds ominous. She also said she approves. Of us. Jihoon's expression shifted. Relief. Hope. Something softer that he usually kept hidden. She approves, he repeated. Apparently I'm good at causing problems. She appreciates that. Of course she does. She's caused more problems than anyone I know. Runs in the family, then. Apparently. He stepped closer. So what does this mean? For us. Ada looked at him. This man who was so confident in everything except this. This billionaire CEO who didn't know how to say what he felt. This person who, against all odds, seemed to genuinely care about what she thought. It means, she said slowly, that we figure it out. Together. Together. Unless you'd rather figure it out alone. No. He reached out and took her hand. No, I would not. They stood there, in his family's study, surrounded by expensive books and complicated history, holding hands like teenagers. It was ridiculous. It was also, somehow, perfect. Then the door burst open. Jihoon. They sprang apart as Chairman Kang stormed into the room. Father, Jihoon said, his voice immediately going cold. I didn't know you were here. I came for the dinner. Imagine my surprise when I discovered you'd brought her. The chairman's eyes swept over Ada with undisguised contempt. I thought I made myself clear. You made your opinion clear. I chose not to follow it. This isn't a matter of opinion. This is about the future of this family, of this company, of everything we've built. Everything you've built. Not me. I have my own plans. Plans that include her. The chairman laughed, but there was no humor in it. She's a distraction. An embarrassment. The entire internet has seen her assault you. It wasn't assault. It was. I don't care what it was. The chairman's voice echoed through the room. I care about perception. I care about stability. I care about our name. And you're willing to throw all of that away for some. Careful, Jihoon said quietly, and his voice was colder than Ada had ever heard it. Careful what you say next. The chairman stopped. Father and son stared at each other. Ada had never seen so much tension in a room. You're making a mistake, the chairman said finally. That's my mistake to make. It affects all of us. Then learn to live with it. Silence. The chairman turned to Ada. You think you've won something. You think you're special. But you're not. You're temporary. Eventually, he'll realize what he's thrown away, and he'll come crawling back to do his duty. And if he doesn't? Ada asked. Then he'll lose everything. No, Ada said quietly. He'll lose you. That's not the same thing. The chairman's face went red with fury. Get out, he said. Get out of my house. Actually, Grandma Kang's voice came from the doorway. It's my house. And I'd like her to stay. Everyone turned. Grandma Kang was standing in the doorway, looking at her son with an expression of weary disappointment. Mother, the chairman began. Be quiet. She walked into the room, every inch the matriarch. I've listened to you rant about duty and family and legacy for years. I've watched you push everyone away in the name of what's best for the company. I've seen you drive away your own son because you couldn't accept that he might want something different. I'm trying to protect him. You're trying to control him. There's a difference. She looked at Jihoon, then at Ada. These two have something. I don't know what it is yet. Maybe love. Maybe chaos. Maybe both. But it's real, and it's theirs, and you don't get to destroy it because it doesn't fit your plans. She's not suitable. I'm not suitable. Your father married me despite his family's objections. Did you forget that? Grandma Kang's eyes flashed. We built this empire together. Not because I was suitable. Because I was strong. Because I challenged him. Because I refused to be controlled. She turned to Ada. Sound familiar? Ada didn't trust herself to speak. She nodded. Good. Grandma Kang looked back at her son. Leave them alone. Or deal with me. Your choice. The chairman stood there, trembling with suppressed rage. Then, without another word, he turned and left. The door slammed behind him. Grandma Kang sighed. Well, she said. That was dramatic. Thank you, Jihoon said quietly. Don't thank me. Just, don't prove him right. She looked at both of them. Whatever this is, make it worth the trouble. She left, closing the door gently behind her. Jihoon and Ada stood in the aftermath, surrounded by echoes of conflict. That was. Ada started. Intense. I was going to say terrifying, but intense works too. Jihoon laughed, though it sounded tired. Welcome to my family. Your family is exhausting. I know. Your father hates me. He hates everyone. That's not comforting. It's not meant to be. It's just true. He stepped closer and took her hand again. I'm sorry. I should have warned you better. You warned me enough. I just didn't expect it to be this immediate. My father doesn't do subtle. I noticed. They stood in silence for a moment. What happens now? Ada asked. Now we leave. I take you home. We pretend this evening wasn't a complete disaster. It wasn't a complete disaster. Your grandmother likes me. My grandmother likes chaos. Same thing. Jihoon smiled. A real smile, tired but genuine. Come on, he said. I'll take you home. They left the estate together. The drive back to the city was quiet, both of them processing everything that had happened. At her apartment building, Jihoon walked her to the door. I'm sorry, he said again. Stop apologizing. It's weird. I'm not usually sorry for things. I know. That's why it's weird. He laughed. Ada, he said, and his voice was serious. Whatever my father throws at us, we can handle it. Together. You sound very confident. I am. About this, at least. Just this. Just you. He leaned down and kissed her forehead, the gesture soft and tender. Good night, Ada. Good night, Jihoon. She went inside. She leaned against the door. And she smiled. 3 weeks passed. Things between Ada and Jihoon settled into something that might, generously, be called a relationship. They didn't label it. They didn't need to. Everyone around them could see what was happening, including people who didn't want it to happen. Ada was at work when her phone rang. She didn't recognize the number, but she answered anyway. Hello. Ada. A male voice. Deep. Familiar. Wrong. She stopped breathing. How did you get this number? Did you really think you could disappear? That you could run to the other side of the world and I wouldn't find you? Ada's hands started shaking. I told you, she said, keeping her voice steady. It's over. That life is behind me. Nothing is over until I say it's over. I'm hanging up. I'm coming to Seoul, Ada. I'll see you soon. The line went dead. Ada stared at her phone. Then she put it down very carefully on her desk, walked to the bathroom, locked herself in a stall, and had a complete emotional breakdown as quietly as possible. When she emerged, Secretary Han was waiting for her. Miss Adams, he said carefully. Are you all right? Fine. You don't look fine. I'm fine. He didn't push. But later that day, Jihoon appeared at her desk. Secretary Han said something happened. He said without preamble. Nothing happened. You were in the bathroom for 4 to 5 minutes. I was organizing my thoughts. For 4 to 5 minutes. I have a lot of thoughts. Jihoon pulled up a chair and sat down, which was startling because the CEO of Kang Empire did not pull up chairs at employee desks. Talk to me, he said. Ada looked at him. She should tell him. She should explain everything. Her past. Her secrets. The man on the phone. But the words wouldn't come. I can't, she said. Can't or won't? Both. Ada. Not now. Please. She met his eyes. I promise I'll tell you. Just, not now. I need time. He looked at her for a long moment. Okay, he said finally. When you're ready. Thank you. He stood up. Then he paused. Whatever it is, he said quietly, you're not alone. Remember that. Then he left. Ada sat at her desk, staring at her phone, thinking about the call. About the voice she'd run across the world to escape. About the past that was apparently determined to follow her. She thought she'd escaped her past. But in Seoul, secrets never stay buried. What is Ada hiding? Who is the man from her past? And will Jihoon protect her, or will the truth destroy everything? Part 2, coming soon. Okay, I need you to comment right now. Who is the man on the phone? What is Ada hiding? Is Jihoon going to find out? Drop your theories below, and if this story had you on the edge of your seat, smash that like button. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss part 2. Trust me, you're going to want to see what happens next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.